stop telling yourself it was just bad luck. Stop chalking your life up to chance, fate, or some cruel accident of circumstance. That belief is not humble. It is destructive. It turns you into a spectator of your own existence. Listen carefully. Nothing in your life has been random. Not the disappointments, not the delays, not the people who walked away, not the closed doors, not the small breaks that came at strange times. All of it has been preparation. All of it has been shaping you into a man who can be trusted with more than he has now. Whether you admit it or not, you are in training. The only question is whether you will cooperate with that training or waste it by calling it meaningless. Look back at your own story. There were days when you felt everything was working against you. Plans fell through. Money slipped through your fingers. Promises others made dissolved without explanation. You thought, why me? Why does nothing ever go smoothly? You saw only irritation. But strip the emotion away for a moment and look at what those experiences demanded from you. They demanded that you think more carefully instead of drifting. They demanded that you toughen your will instead of surrendering at every discomfort. They demanded that you learn to stand without constant praise, to keep your word when it cost you something, to finish tasks that were no longer exciting. That is not random. That is a curriculum. You have treated your hardships as insults when they were actually examinations. You thought life was mocking you. In truth, it was measuring you. Measuring how you respond when your efforts are not immediately rewarded. Measuring what you do when no one is clapping. Measuring whether you are a man of impulse or a man of decision. You have been observed, not by the crowd, not by your critics, but by the law that governs success itself. That law does not waste difficulty on those it never intends to promote. It spends its heaviest material on those it plans to build strong. Think about the times you were forced to do more with less. Times when the work was heavy and the resources were thin. You could have quit. Perhaps part of you wanted to. Instead, you adapted. You learned to stretch what you had. You learned to organize your day more carefully. You learned to cut indulgences and focus on essentials. You learned that you could endure more than you thought. That season did not come to humiliate you. It came to strip away softness. A man who never learns to function lean will squander abundance when it comes. What you call the struggle years were your apprenticeship in control. Think about the people who disappointed you. You trusted them. You thought they would walk with you. They said the right words, made the right gestures, and then vanished when it mattered. You were angry, perhaps bitter. You asked, why would life send such people into my path? Because you needed to learn how to read character. Because you needed to stop confusing charm with loyalty. Because you needed to understand that words are cheap and conduct is the only true currency. That lesson will serve you far more in the future than a few years of easy company would have. You are being prepared to sit at heavier tables. Those tables demand sharper judgment. Look at the long periods when nothing seemed to move. You did the work. You showed up. You made effort after effort, yet the results remained invisible. Others appeared to leap ahead while you walked in place. You were tempted to call those months, perhaps those years, lost time. They were not lost. They were deep work being done in the unseen. When outward movement slows, inward structure is being aligned. You were being taught to separate your identity from your immediate results. You were being taught to work from principle, not from sensation. Anyone can act with enthusiasm when results arrive quickly. Only a prepared man can act with commitment when the rewards are silent. You have had dreams crushed. Plans that once filled you with fire now lie in ruins. There was a business that never got off the ground, a path that closed when you had already invested years, a goal that you had tied your entire sense of worth to. When it crumbled, it felt like you crumbled with it. Yet you are still here. You are reading these words now, which means that even at your lowest, something in you refused to stay down. That something is exactly what life has been trying to bring to the surface. Your resilience is not an accident. It was carved out of you by blows you thought would finish you. You must stop treating your life as if it were a series of unrelated scenes. It is not. It is one story. That story has themes. Look closely and you will see them. The repeated lesson in patience. The repeated lesson in courage. The repeated lesson in self-control. The repeated lesson in belief in yourself. Circumstances changed, faces changed, places changed, but the same inner test returned. Life will keep bringing the same kind of pressure until you draw out of yourself the strength that pressure is intended to produce. Refusing to see the pattern keeps you trapped in it. Recognizing the pattern allows you to finally pass through. Ask yourself honestly, how many times have you been placed in situations where you needed to speak up but remained silent? How many times did you know what you should do but let fear or laziness overrule you? Did those situations disappear from your life? No. They returned later under different names. The timid apprentice who will not speak honestly to a superior becomes the timid partner who will not address problems in a venture, becomes the timid leader who will not face conflict for the sake of his team. The setting shifts. The unlearned lesson remains. Nothing of that is random. It is targeted pressure. It is preparation. Perhaps you grew up in an environment that did not seem favorable for success. Maybe there was noise, disorder, lack of guidance, perhaps even constant discouragement. You looked at others who were born into calmer surroundings and said, "They are lucky. I am not." Consider another angle. In that rough environment, you were forced to develop filters, to learn how to think for yourself when the loudest voices around you were broken and bitter. You were forced to find your own standards when no one around you lived by any. If you accept that training instead of cursing it, you can become someone who is unshaken by chaos. Many who had gentler beginnings fall apart when conditions turn turbulent. You have already lived through turbulence. That is not a deficit. It is a hidden advantage, once aligned with purpose. Nothing in your life is random because your own responses have helped shape what came next. Every time you chose self-pity over self-examination, you delayed your own progress. Every time you chose resentment over learning, you doubled your own pain. That too is law. You are not a passive object being thrown about by chance. You are a participant. Your thoughts, words, and habits have been quietly either cooperating with preparation or fighting it. Harsh as it sounds, some of what you blame on bad fortune has been the direct harvest of your own decisions. A man who refuses to see this can never grow. A man who faces it gains enormous power. You might say, if this is all preparation, why is there so much delay? Because you are being prepared for more than a small victory. You are being prepared for durability. Quick success requires little shaping. Lasting success demands deep foundations. Deep foundations take time. A shallow-rooted tree can spring up quickly and fall just as quickly. An oak takes years to sink its roots, years to strengthen its trunk, years to spread its branches. When storms come, shallow plants vanish. The oak remains. Life is not building you to be a decorative plant. It is building you to be an oak. That is why some of your wishes have not been granted on your schedule. Understand this clearly. If you had received some of the things you begged for at the time you begged for them, they would have damaged you. You wanted authority before you had mastered yourself. You wanted wealth before you had mastered discipline. You wanted influence before you had mastered humility. You wanted rapid advancement before you had mastered skill. Life is not stingy, it is precise. It refuses to place heavy weight on untested structure. When your outer desire grows faster than your inner growth, mercy appears as delay. You call it unfair. It is actually protection. Look carefully at the few moments when you did receive something before you were ready. Perhaps you were suddenly trusted with more than you could handle. A promotion, a relationship, a position, a sum of money. What did you do with it? Did you handle it with wisdom? Or did you mishandle it, lose it, and suffer from the loss? That experience was not random. It was a small-scale warning. Grow stronger before you carry more. You can ignore that warning and keep blaming circumstances, or you can treat it as a clear instruction. Build yourself first. You are being shaped even in your quiet, ordinary days. The way you show up to small tasks is part of your preparation. When you are given minor responsibilities and perform them carelessly, you are telling life, do not trust me with more. When you are given simple duties and carry them out with excellence, even when no one is watching, you are sending a different message. I treat every assignment as training for something larger. That attitude forces you to grow. It transforms even the most humble work into a gymnasium for your character. Nothing in your life is random because every day is either strengthening a habit or weakening it. Every day you either practice discipline or practice avoidance. Every day you either practice courage or practice cowardice. Every day you either practice gratitude or practice complaint. These habits become your automatic responses when larger opportunities arise. You will not suddenly become focused when success arrives if you have spent years being scattered. You will not become honest when stakes are high if you have spent years lying in small ways. You will not become decisive when a great door opens if you have trained yourself to delay every choice. That is why preparation matters so much. It decides what you will be capable of when chance seems to appear. If you truly grasp that nothing is random, your questions change. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, you begin to ask, what is this trying to build in me? Instead of saying, I am cursed, you say, I am being sharpened. Instead of crying, I cannot endure another test, you say, I may not like this test, but I will not leave it empty-handed. That change in language is not mere comfort, it is power. It positions you as a builder, not a victim. Realize, too, that your preparation is not only for your own benefit. The man you are being shaped into will affect others. Your patience in hardship will one day steady someone else. Your lessons in restraint will protect people under your leadership. Your understanding of lack will make you a wiser steward of abundance. Your former confusion will make you a better teacher of clarity. A life that has known no chiseling cannot carve paths for others. A life that has been chiseled deeply can. So I say to you directly, stop despising your journey. Stop speaking about your past only as a burden. Stop repeating the story of how unfair everything has been as if that were the end of it. Start seeing it as a set of tools, rough perhaps, but tools nonetheless. You did not choose every blow, but you can choose what every blow becomes. Preparation is not some mystical process reserved for the few. It is the daily, sometimes painful shaping of your mind, your habits, your values, and your will. That is what has been happening, whether you cooperated or not. From this moment on, decide that you will cooperate. Decide that you will treat every experience, not just the pleasant ones, as material. Decide that you will mine your failures for instruction, your delays for patience, your humiliations for humility, your responsibilities for discipline. When you live that way, nothing in your life is wasted. Nothing is just random. Everything becomes part of the construction of a man who is no longer asking, "Why is this happening to me?" but declaring, "Everything that has happened is preparing me for what I am becoming." If you truly believe everything that has happened is preparing you for what you are becoming, then you can no longer afford to live as if today is meaningless. Preparation is not only hidden in the big events, the losses, the betrayals, the sudden turns. It is also hidden in the small choices you make repeatedly. The way you wake up, the way you speak, the way you handle a minor irritation, the way you finish a simple task, these are not separate from your destiny. They are rehearsals. Life is always asking the same question through 1,000 different details. Can I trust you with more? You may not like that question. You may protest. Why must everything be a test? Understand this. You are not being examined to be humiliated. You are being examined to be entrusted. A builder does not place a heavy roof on weak walls. He tests the walls first. If they crack, he does not hate the walls. He strengthens them. You are the wall. Your habits are the strength or weakness of your structure. Every time you let yourself off the hook, every time you excuse sloppy work in small matters, every time you ignore what you know is right because no one is watching, you are weakening the very foundation you want success to rest on. Then you call it bad fortune when the roof is never added. Look at how you handle what you have now. Not what you hope to have, not what you imagine in your daydreams, what you actually have in your hand today. Examine your use of time. Do you treat hours as cheap, flinging them away on whatever is easiest in the moment? Or do you guard them as the raw material of everything you say you want? A man being prepared for more learns to respect minutes. He understands that character is not built only in dramatic decisions, but in 1,000 quiet choices when no one is applauding. How do you keep your word? When you say you will be somewhere at a certain time, are you there? When you promise yourself you will complete a task, do you complete it, or do you allow mood to overrule decision? Each broken promise to yourself trains your mind to doubt you. Each kept promise strengthens your self-command. Preparation is, at its core, the process of becoming a man whose own mind believes him. When your mind believes your word, fear loses much of its power. When your mind does not trust you, even opportunity will look like a threat. How do you treat small responsibilities? The world is full of men who talk about what they would do if only they had a great opportunity. If I were given a business, I would manage it wisely. If I were given wealth, I would be generous. If I had a position of leadership, I would be disciplined. These same men are late to simple appointments, careless with small sums, and undependable in the task they have now. They are living proof that they would not do under larger conditions what they refuse to do under small ones. Life observes that, and it withholds more, not out of spite, but out of accuracy. You may think no one sees your quiet efforts, your hidden discipline. That is not true. You see them. You hear every excuse you make. You feel every effort you give. You are present for every private decision. That history accumulates inside you. It either builds a sense of inner respect or it builds secret contempt. Many people think they suffer from lack of confidence. In reality, they suffer from lack of self-respect. They have watched themselves for years avoid the difficult thing, abandon the important task, give in to the weakest impulse. They cannot believe in someone they constantly see betraying his own standards. This, too, is preparation. You are being invited today to rebuild that respect, not through grand declarations, but through consistent action. Begin with what is in front of you. If you have work, do it thoroughly, even if you dislike it. You are not doing it merely for the employer. You are doing it to train your own hands and mind. If you have debts, face them honestly. Do not hide from them. Make a plan, however modest, and follow it. Every payment you make, every step you take, is a hammerstroke on the old habit of avoidance. If you have neglected your body, start caring for it. Not for vanity, but because a strong spirit deserves a capable instrument. Every good meal, every walk, every discipline is part of your preparation. You protest, these things are ordinary. Yes, and it is precisely in the ordinary that future strength is forged. Men dream of future big moments when they will finally show what they are made of. They imagine standing on a stage, negotiating a major deal, leading a large team, enjoying a life of comfort and command. But those moments are not gifts that appear out of nowhere. They are the visible harvest of hundreds of invisible days. If you will not rule your small world now, you will not suddenly rise to rule a larger one later. Our title is not, "Nothing in your life is random, everything is reward." It is nothing in your life is random, it is all preparation. Preparation implies work. It implies discomfort. It implies repetition. The athlete who trains his body lifts the same weight many times. The mind that is preparing for greater success must do the same with its own exercises. You must repeatedly think accurately, repeatedly choose discipline over ease, repeatedly speak to yourself with power instead of defeat, until these actions become your natural way. Only then will you be ready for the pressure that position, influence, and wealth bring. You must also understand that the shaping is not only about what you do, it is also about what you stop doing. If everything is preparation, then your harmful habits are not neutral. They are sabotage. The temper you refuse to control is not a small flaw. It is a crack in your future building. The habit of gossip and criticism is not harmless talk. It is training your mind to feed on negativity, which will poison your vision when you need clarity most. The laziness you indulge in when you do not feel like it is not simply rest. Often it is practice in surrender. Ask yourself plainly, what am I rehearsing every day? Are you rehearsing excuse making? Then do not be surprised when under pressure you reach for excuses instead of solutions. Are you rehearsing delay? Then do not be surprised when you let great opportunities drift past because you can never decide. Are you rehearsing half effort? Then do not be surprised when life does not hand you full rewards. You are not being picked on. You are being mirrored. The outer results are reflecting the inner habits. At the same time, do not overlook the quiet strengths you have been rehearsing. Perhaps you have endured humiliation and yet refused to become cruel. That is preparation. Perhaps you have worked in obscurity and yet continued to improve your craft. That is preparation. Perhaps you have stayed loyal where others would have run. That is preparation. Perhaps you have kept your integrity when bending the truth would have been easier. That is preparation. These strengths may not yet have been fully called upon, but their day is coming. You must align your perspective with this truth. The delay between preparation and promotion is part of the design. The seed spends a long time in the soil where no eye can see it. During that time, if it could speak, it might say, nothing is happening, but something is happening. Roots are forming. Structure is being laid down to support future height. In the same way, there are long stretches of your life where from the outside nothing seems to be changing, yet inside roots are growing. You are learning how to endure discomfort without breaking. You are learning how to continue without applause. You are learning how to adjust instead of quitting. Those roots will hold you when visible growth finally comes. Many people sabotage their own preparation by declaring nothing is working too soon. They plant a seed and then dig it up every few days to check if it is growing. They start a discipline and then abandon it because the reward did not appear immediately. They begin to cultivate a new way of thinking and then fall back into old patterns because the inner noise did not quiet at once. That is not how preparation works. Law does not rearrange itself to accommodate impatience. Law demands that growth be allowed to complete its hidden stages before appearing in full strength. If you truly accept that nothing is random and everything can be used as preparation, then even your past mistakes lose some of their sting. You no longer see them only as evidence of your unworthiness. You see them as evidence of your unfinishedness. There is a difference. Unworthiness says, I am fundamentally defective. Nothing I do can fix it. Unfinishedness says, I was not yet fully formed. I now know what must change. One kills hope. The other fuels it. Look at the worst decisions you have made, the ones that still embarrass you when you think of them. What did they expose? Perhaps your hunger for approval made you weak. Perhaps your desire for quick gain made you careless. Perhaps your avoidance of discomfort made you lie to yourself. You can either keep replaying those scenes as proof that you are doomed, or you can treat them as clear signposts. Here is where I must grow. Here is where my preparation must be focused. Here is where I will never again be so naive. If you make that choice, even your shame becomes raw material for strength. Do not miss this. Preparation does not mean that everything that happened to you was right, just, or good. Men can act unjustly. Circumstances can be harsh. You are not being asked to pretend otherwise. You are being asked to refuse to let those facts be the final word. You cannot always choose what happens to you, but you can always choose how you interpret it and what you build from it. That is where your freedom lies. That is where your power lies. In this light, even your current situation, however limited it may look, becomes something else. You no longer say, I am stuck. You say, I am being trained. You no longer say, I have nothing. You say, I am learning what to do with little so I can handle much. You no longer say, no one sees me. You say, this is the time to strengthen in secret so I do not collapse in public. The facts have not changed. Your position in the world may be the same, but your posture has changed. And posture is what determines whether preparation has its full effect or is wasted. Ask yourself now, with full honesty, if I treated today as part of my preparation for something heavy, how would I live it differently? Would you rise earlier? Would you speak more carefully? Would you listen more closely? Would you study instead of complain? Would you separate yourself from people who drag your mind into gossip and mediocrity? Would you demand more of yourself and less of luck? Those answers reveal the gap between how you are living and how a man in training lives. Close that gap, one decision at a time. You may say, but I do not even know exactly what I am being prepared for. You do not need to know every detail. The soldier does not know which exact battle he will fight when he trains. He still drills. He still strengthens his body. He still sharpens his mind. He trusts that when the time comes, His preparation will meet the moment, whatever its shape. In the same way, you are being prepared for a combination of opportunities and responsibilities that will require courage, clarity, skill, and character. You may not see them all yet, but they are moving toward you as surely as you are moving toward them. When they arrive, you will either be ready or unready. That is what this moment is about. Nothing in your life is random, because there is a law at work, and that law is always asking, will you use this? Every event carries that question. Will you use this disappointment to deepen your resolve or to justify quitting? Will you use this success to reinforce your discipline or to relax into pride? Will you use this criticism to refine your work or to confirm your bitterness? Will you use this delay to practice patience or to rehearse despair? Life is not simply happening to you. It is presenting you with material and watching what you create from it. If you want to honor the years you have already survived, decide now that you will stop throwing away your preparation. Every day you spend repeating the story of how unfair everything has been is a day when you could instead be aligning with the strength those very experiences gave you. You have already paid the price in pain. Do not pay it again in waste. Convert it. Mine it. Write down what you have learned from the hardest chapters of your life. Lessons about people, about money, about self-control, about honesty, about timing. Every line you write is a tool you can carry into the future. You are being shaped whether you cooperate or not. But if you will cooperate, if you will treat nothing as random and everything as preparation, you will find that even the cruelest parts of your past cannot prevent you from rising. They become part of the foundation under your feet. You will walk differently. You will speak differently. You will endure differently. Not because life suddenly became easy, but because you finally understood that it was never merely trying to hurt you. It was trying relentlessly to forge you. There is another dimension of preparation you must recognize if you wish to cooperate fully with it. Until now, you have mostly judged your life by outer events, jobs, income, relationships, visible progress. But the deepest preparation does not happen there. It happens in the invisible workshop of your thoughts. Every outward circumstance presses on your inner world. How you meet that pressure in your mind determines whether the experience will strengthen you or merely bruise you. Two men can live through nearly identical hardships. One emerges bitter and broken. The other emerges focused and powerful. The difference lies in how they use their thoughts while they walk through the fire. You cannot leave your inner life to chance and then call your outer life preparation. If nothing is random, then even your thoughts are not neutral. They are responses to what you have lived, and they are also signals to what you will live. A mind that continually rehearses defeat is rehearsing for another defeat. A mind that continually remembers its own endurance is rehearsing for another victory. Ask yourself now, when you are alone, what do you dwell on? Do you rerun insults? Do you replay humiliations? Do you recite to yourself everything that has gone wrong? If so, you are using your past preparation to weaken yourself in the present. You must train your mind to handle your story differently. Begin by taking command of how you speak to yourself about your life. When you recall a difficult chapter, refuse to tell it as a tale of pure injustice. Do not lie to yourself. Acknowledge the pain, but you must also add the gain. Say to yourself, yes, that happened. It hurt, but it revealed where I was unready. It introduced me to my weakness in that area. It taught me what carelessness costs. It proved I can survive more than I thought. This way of speaking is not denial, it is discipline. You are forcing your mind to see the full truth, not just the portion that feeds self-pity. Your subconscious mind, call it what you will, accepts the pictures and sentences you feed it. It does not argue with you. It builds from your repeated impressions. If you constantly declare, "My life is nothing but misfortune," that deeper part of you takes that statement as an instruction and looks for ways to make it consistent. If instead you repeatedly affirm, "Everything that has happened is preparing me and can be used by me," your subconscious begins to search for proof of that statement. Suddenly you start to notice insights, patterns, and opportunities that were there all along, unnoticed because you had instructed your mind to look only for reasons to complain. Do not wait to feel like speaking to yourself with power. Feelings follow instruction more often than they lead it. Set aside time each day to direct your inner conversation. In the morning, remind yourself aloud, "Nothing that meets me today will be wasted. I will use every challenge as training. I will not curse my circumstances. I will command my response." You may feel foolish the first few times you do this, but you are not talking to the air. You are talking to your own mind. And your mind has been listening to defeated talk for many years. It needs a new commander. Preparation also shows itself by the desires that will not leave you. There are ambitions in you that have survived embarrassment, survived delay, survived reasonable lectures from others. They have been buried, perhaps, but they have not died. These are not random wishes. They are signals of the kind of work your preparation is leading you toward. A man who is being prepared for leadership feels a restless dissatisfaction when he sees confusion and lack of direction around him. A man being prepared to build will feel a weight when he sees wasted resources or neglected opportunities. A man being prepared to teach will feel compelled to clarify, to explain, to simplify complex ideas. You must stop treating your deeper desires as foolish fantasies. They may be impractical at their first appearance, but they are not arbitrary. They are invitations. They give shape to your preparation. Once you recognize them, you can begin to align your training with them. If you feel you are meant to build, then every season of scarcity you have endured is not just cruelty. It is education in how to make much from little. If you feel you are meant to lead, then every difficult person you have dealt with is not just annoyance. It is practice in handling human nature. If you feel you are meant to create, then every constraint you have faced has been stretching your imagination. Nothing is wasted unless you refuse to connect it. There is also the matter of conscience. You have felt its pressure in quiet moments, urging you toward higher standards. You have known at times that you were living below what you are capable of. You may have tried to drown that voice in noise, work, or constant distraction, yet it persists. That persistence is not random. It is part of your preparation. Conscience is the instrument that keeps your path aligned with your highest potential. When you ignore it, you prolong your own lessons. When you obey it, even in small matters, you shorten the distance to where you say you want to be. Do not call guilt that never leads to action a virtue. That is only self-punishment. The purpose of conscience is not to leave you feeling low. It is to move you to change. When you feel that sting after a lazy day, after a broken promise, after a cowardly act, treat it as instruction. Here is where my preparation must become more serious. Then do something different. Even if it is a small step, apologize where you were wrong. Correct the error you made. Plan the next day with more care. By doing this, you transform conscience from a whip into a guide. You must also learn to see design in what you call coincidence. Think of moments when the right person appeared at a critical time, when a book fell into your hands just when you were ready to understand it, when a door closed, but another opened that you would never have considered on your own. Were these events pure accident? You can insist they were, if that comforts you. Or you can accept the possibility that there is an intelligent order at work, one that responds to the state of your mind and the direction of your will. Napoleon Hill called it infinite intelligence. Whatever name you choose, the fact remains. When a man aligns his thoughts, decisions, and efforts with a clear purpose, circumstances begin to arrange themselves in ways that cannot be explained by chance alone. Preparation is the process of becoming the kind of man that this higher order can work through without obstruction. When you are confused, double-minded, dishonest, and lazy, you are a poor instrument. Even if chances come, you will not recognize them or handle them well. As you become more definite, more honest, more disciplined, more faithful to your inner guidance, you become a sharp tool. Life itself knows it can place heavier assignments in your hands. That is why men who have done deep inner work often seem to others as if they are lucky. They are not. They are ready. One of the greatest obstacles to embracing preparation is comparison. You look at another man's progress and decide that your own journey is failing. You see his rapid gains, his early successes, his outward advantages, and you say, "He is chosen, I am not." You do not see the hidden parts of his story, nor do you see the burdens he may not yet be prepared for. Comparison is the enemy of your training because it makes you resent the very exercises you need most. While you are busy measuring the length of his path, you neglect to walk your own. Understand this once and for all. Preparation is personal. The law that governs your development is not consulting your neighbor's calendar. It is concerned with shaping you for the exact combination of responsibilities and opportunities that belong to your assignment. If you are being prepared to carry a greater weight, you may endure a longer and harder training. That does not make you less favored. It may mean the opposite. The soldier assigned to the most demanding mission goes through the toughest conditioning. If he spends his days envying the lighter drills of others, he will never be fit for the work he is meant to do. You must make peace with the pace of your own preparation. That does not mean you move slowly on purpose or use timing as an excuse for laziness. It means you give your full effort today, while trusting that whatever has not yet arrived is not being withheld by malice but by wisdom. This trust frees your mind from constant anxiety. It allows you to concentrate on what you can control instead of obsessing over what you cannot. A relaxed, focused mind learns faster than a restless, fearful one. That alone will accelerate your development more than frantic striving ever can. Another aspect of preparation that many resist is pruning, having certain things removed from your life for your own growth. You think you are losing something essential when in fact you are being freed from what would have choked you later. There were friendships you clung to that slowly drained your ambition. Over time, distance grew, misunderstandings increased, paths diverged. You suffered. You also began to think more clearly. You began to choose your associations with more care. That pruning was not random. The branch that is meant to bear more fruit must often be cut back for a season. There were plans you once held as sacred that now make you smile. You were certain that a particular path, city, or idea was the only way you could be happy. Life said no. You fought that no. You called it cruelty. Later, from a different vantage point, you saw why that denial was necessary. Perhaps it spared you from entanglements you did not see. Perhaps it redirected you toward work that suits you more deeply. Perhaps it forced you to develop a side of yourself you would have left dormant forever. A wise gardener does not consult the plant before pruning. He knows the growth the plant cannot yet imagine. Your emotions will not always understand your preparation while it is happening. That is all right. Understanding may come later. What you can do now is decide that you will not interpret every removal as a rejection of you. Some removals are assignments. They assign you to solitude so you can hear your own thoughts. They assign you to reduced conditions so you can clarify what really matters. They assign you to unfamiliar places so you can develop adaptability. If you run from every such assignment, you will remain spiritually soft and mentally disorganized, no matter how educated or talented you are. Real preparation also involves your relationship with failure. If you see failure as a final verdict on your worth, you will hide from experiences that could develop you. You will stay small to avoid the pain of being wrong. But if you view failure as an instructor, you will step into more arenas. You will risk more attempts. You will treat each defeat as a report card, not on your identity, but on your methods. This approach did not work. Why? What assumption was flawed? What skill was missing? What can I do differently? The man who thinks this way cannot truly lose. His failures feed his preparation. Look back at the ventures that did not succeed for you. Instead of merely regretting them, write down what they taught you. Did you discover that enthusiasm alone is not enough? Did you learn the importance of clear agreements? Did you realize you must study more thoroughly before leaping? Did you see how pride made you ignore good counsel? Those lessons, extracted and remembered, make you a more formidable man. If you refuse to extract them, your failures become just wounds. If you extract them, your failures become workshops. There's also preparation in rest, though many ambitious men despise the idea. They think that relentless activity proves seriousness. In reality, uncontrolled activity often proves fear. You are afraid of being alone with your thoughts, afraid of acknowledging your doubts, afraid of measuring your efforts honestly. So you try to outrun these inner confrontations by doing more and more. But true preparation requires reflection. It requires quiet. It requires the ability to step back and examine your direction. The mind that is constantly hurried does not see patterns. It only sees tasks. Schedule time not only for labor, but for thinking about your labor. Sit down with a clear mind and ask, what is my preparation aiming toward? Do my daily actions match my stated purpose? What is working? What is not? Where am I becoming stronger? Where am I still weak? This kind of thought is not a luxury. It is part of the training. The general does not fight every hour. He spends time studying the map. You must do the same. Otherwise, you may spend years preparing for a battle that does not matter. The final element of preparation you must grasp is gratitude. This may sound soft compared to discipline and courage, yet it is one of the strongest forces you can cultivate. Gratitude does not mean pretending everything is pleasant. It means recognizing that everything can be useful. When you deliberately give thanks for the lessons in your hardships, something powerful happens. Your mind stops fighting reality and starts cooperating with it. You move from why is this happening to since this is happening, how shall I use it? That shift alone can save you years. A grateful man learns faster than a resentful one. Resentment keeps replaying old scenes and gathering evidence that life is unfair. Gratitude scans the same scenes and searches for instruction. Resentment keeps you tied to the injury. Gratitude ties you to the insight. One locks you into the past. The other equips you for the future. If you can reach a point where you look back over your life, even its darkest passages, and say, I would not choose that path again, but I will not throw away what it taught me, you have won a victory few achieve. You have turned your entire history into preparation instead of prison. Take stock now. You have lived through enough to know that life is not a neat sequence of pleasant experiences. You have been disappointed. You have been delayed. You have been embarrassed. You have also grown. You have developed strengths you did not once possess. You have insight now that you lacked before. You are more cautious in some areas, more courageous in others. None of that came from random events. It came from training. Sometimes that training was fierce. Sometimes it was subtle. But it was always available. The question that stands before you today is simple and severe. Will you continue to treat your life as an accident, or will you finally acknowledge that it has been all along a preparation? If you choose the first, you will keep stumbling, blaming, and repeating. If you choose the second, you will begin, perhaps for the first time, to live as a man who understands that every moment, every trial, every delay, and every victory is working on him, shaping him, and equipping him for a future he cannot fully see, but can be ready to meet. You have heard enough about preparation. Now, you must decide what to do with it. From this moment, you can no longer say you do not know why life has pressed you so hard. You understand that nothing has been random. Everything has been pushing you toward a choice. Either you will live as a man being shaped for something greater, or you will live as a man who explains his own defeat. The events will keep coming either way. The difference will be your posture. Start by deciding who you are, not in vague phrases. I'm trying, I'm improving, I'm working on myself, but with a clear identity. Say to yourself, I am a man in training. I am not a victim of chaos. I am a student of law. That decision is not a slogan. It is a standard. It demands that you stop behaving as if your days are accidents. When something difficult happens, you no longer have permission to simply groan and curse your luck. You must ask, what is this training me for? What quality in me is being strengthened or exposed? That question alone can change the course of your life. You need 3 pillars to live this way: clarity, discipline, and faith. Clarity is knowing what you are preparing for. Discipline is how you behave while you prepare. Faith is why you keep going when you see no result. Without clarity, you drift. Without discipline, you decay. Without faith, you collapse. With all 3 aligned, you become dangerous to mediocrity. Begin with clarity. You cannot treat everything as preparation if you have no idea what you are aiming at. A blade is shaped differently depending on its purpose. A razor is refined for one task, a sword for another. Likewise, your preparation must be connected to a definite chief aim. Ask yourself, with ruthless honesty, what kind of man am I determined to become? What kind of work do I intend to give my life to? What contribution do I want my existence to make? Do not answer quickly. Think. Write it out in plain words. Strip away borrowed dreams. Remove anything you want, only to impress others. What is left is the beginning of clarity. Once you have that picture, even if it is imperfect, your past begins to make new sense. If your aim is to build, you will notice how often you have been forced to repair and restore. If your aim is to lead, you will notice how often you have been placed in situations where no one else would decide. If your aim is to teach, you will see how often you have been required to learn the hard way. The pattern was there before. Clarity allows you to see it. From then on, every new experience can be evaluated by one question. How can this be used to shape me for that purpose? Nothing is random when it is being measured against a clear destiny. Next comes discipline. This is where most men fall. They understand an idea, nod their heads, feel a surge of agreement, and then change nothing about how they live. They expect revelation to do what only repetition can accomplish. You must reverse that trend. Your days must begin to reflect the man you say you are becoming. Do not tell me your dreams. Show me your routine. That is where preparation either succeeds or fails. Picture a day for a man who understands that nothing is random. He does not wake up at whatever time feeling dictates. He chooses a waking time and honors it. Not because the hour itself is magical, but because each kept promise strengthens his command over himself. Upon waking, he does not immediately invite the noise of the world into his mind. He spends a few minutes speaking to himself and to his Creator. He might say quietly, "Everything that meets me today is material. I will not waste it. Give me eyes to see the meaning and strength to respond rightly." He is not reciting poetry. He is issuing instructions to his own mind. As he goes about his work, he treats each task as training. If the work is simple, he uses it to perfect attention and accuracy. If the work is difficult, he uses it to strengthen persistence and patience. When he is delayed, he practices control over his temper. When he is criticized unfairly, he practices maintaining his dignity. When he is praised, he practices humility. To others, these are just a good day or a bad day. To him, they are exercises. He may not enjoy every one of them, but he understands their purpose. At the end of the day, he does not merely collapse and call it finished. He reviews, not for hours, not with theatrics, but with sincerity. He asks, where did I behave like the man I am becoming? Where did I behave like the man I used to be? No self-pity, just observation. If he lost his temper, he notes when and why. If he wasted time, he notes how. If he took a courageous step, he notes that too. Then he decides one small correction for tomorrow. This is how preparation becomes deliberate instead of accidental. This is how a life is sculpted instead of left as a rough block. Now we come to faith. Faith is not a vague feeling that things will work out somehow. Faith, in this context, is your decision to believe that your preparation is noticed, that your effort is not wasted, and that law will not forget you. It is your conviction that there is an order to this universe, and that order rewards the man who cooperates with it. Without that conviction, discipline becomes drudgery. You will inevitably ask, what is the point? Why keep trying if the world is blind and deaf? With faith, the same disciplines become meaningful. You can say, the harvest is not yet visible, but the seeds are in the ground. I will not tear them up with my impatience. Faith allows you to stay steady when life rearranges your plans. You may have believed your success would come from one direction, only to see that door close. A faithless man panics and declares all is lost. A man of faith says, if I am prepared, I am not limited to one door. Law is not bound to my preferences. Let me keep improving myself. The path can change, but my readiness must not. This attitude is not complacency. It is confidence in principle over circumstance. You must be prepared for one more test, the temptation to worship suffering itself. Once some men learn that hardship can strengthen them, they begin to chase hardship as if pain alone were proof of progress. That is foolishness. The goal is not suffering. The goal is growth. You are not required to throw yourself into avoidable trouble just to prove that you are serious. Preparation does not ask you to love pain. It asks you to refuse to waste it. When difficulty comes naturally, meet it with courage. But do not create chaos and call it training. Law does not reward recklessness. All of this will be challenged by old habits of thought. You will wake up some mornings and feel the old voice whisper, you are behind. You should have been further by now. You have wasted too much time. There is no point in starting fresh. That voice is one of your heaviest weights. You must confront it directly. Answer it without ceremony. Yes, I have made mistakes. I have delayed. I have failed to use some of what was given. But as of this moment, I refuse to waste another hour talking about that. I will use even those regrets as fuel. I will let them remind me how costly delay is. Nothing from here forward will be random, because I will not be mindless. Another day, the voice will say, why keep trying? Look at how slow your progress is compared to others. This is where your understanding of preparation saves you. Instead of sinking into comparison, you will remind yourself, my curriculum is not his curriculum. My timetable is not his. I do not know what he is being shaped for, nor what weights he will one day carry. I know only this. If I remain faithful to my training, I will be ready for what belongs to me. No man can take that from me. When you think and talk this way, envy loosens its grip. You return your attention to your own path, which is the only place you have power. You may fear that you have gone too far in the wrong direction, that you have taken too many detours for preparation to still matter. That is another lie you must discard. The very experiences you call detours can become the most valuable part of your equipment if you extract their lessons now. As you keep living this way, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop being surprised when unusual coincidences occur. You meet people at just the right time. You hear an idea that perfectly answers a problem you have been wrestling with. A door opens that you did not even know existed. From the outside, it looks like luck. From the inside, you know it is alignment. Your preparation has met your opportunity. Your months or years of steady inner work have brought you to a point where when life knocks, you can answer with a solid yes instead of a trembling, I hope so. At that point, you will understand why you could not have skipped any of it. You will see that if you had received the opportunity before you had been hardened, you would have mishandled it. If you had been given the position before you understood people, you would have hurt them and yourself. If you had been given the money before you respected it, you would have wasted it. If you had been given the influence before you had humility, you would have become arrogant and then fallen. Preparation is not a delay of success. It is the protection of it. Make no mistake. This understanding does not remove all pain from your future. There will still be losses. There will still be misunderstandings, delays, and changes of plan. The difference is that you will no longer be crushed by the belief that these things are useless. You will meet them with the calm of a man who says, I do not enjoy this, but I know where to file it. This goes in the drawer marked strength. This goes in the drawer marked clarity. This goes in the drawer marked humility. Nothing that enters my life will leave me empty-handed. That is a powerful way to live. Now, what should you do practically from here? First, declare your new interpretation of your own story. In plain words, say to yourself, my life has not been a chain of random misfortunes. It has been a severe, precise preparation. I choose to see it that way. I choose to use it that way. Repeat this until your own mind believes you. Second, write out what your preparation has already given you. List the strengths you did not have 10 years ago. List the insights you would not possess without your wounds. Let that list prove to you that pain has already produced something. Third, choose one area where you know you are still unprepared and make it your focus. Perhaps it is your relationship with discipline. Perhaps it is your handling of money. Perhaps it is your control over your temper. Do not try to fix everything at once. Pick the weak beam that most threatens your future structure and begin to reinforce it. Read, study, practice, and pray about that one area every day. Treat every situation that touches it as a tailored exercise. When you succeed, note it. When you fail, note it and try again. In time, what was once your greatest liability will become one of your strongest supports. That is, preparation completed. Fourth, start honoring small moments. When you are tempted to cut a corner, remember, nothing is random. If I cheat here, I train myself to cheat later when stakes are high. When you are tempted to complain out loud about your circumstances, remember, nothing is random. If I speak like a victim, I will act like one when challenges arise. When you feel laziness creeping in, remember, nothing is random. Every time I obey this laziness, I practice surrender. Every time I resist, I practice victory. This level of awareness is not heavy. It is liberating. It turns every decision into an opportunity to practice being the man you intend to be. Nothing in your life has been random. Not the earliest poverty, not the darkest mistake, not the loneliest night, not the most confusing turn. Each one carried with it the possibility of shaping you. If you have not used them yet, they are still waiting. Everything behind you is raw material. Everything before you is opportunity to apply it, and you, standing here, are the craftsman who will either build something worthy from it all or throw it away and blame the wind. Refuse to blame the wind. Become the man who adjusts his sails